Marshall, number 2, Urban Hope is near and dear to my heart. It is the mentorship program I get to run in downtown Toronto. We currently had a great Christmas season. We were able to give over 200 presents away to different kids in the neighborhood. We were able to give, I think it was about 80 presents to the Wigwaman housing in the Canary District in downtown Toronto, the Indigenous housing there. So every kid in that building got a Christmas gift. So thank you all for your help with donations and all those kinds of things. Basically, Urban Hope is a mentorship program where kids are helping kids, and we provide a safe place for them to hang out and to teach them biblical principles. Also, we are currently in the end process of getting our basketball team started. We have a basketball program started with the coach being the coach. And we're excited to see where that goes. And we have a gym reserved and some players that are ready to do some tryouts. And we're going to create some elite basketball programming for kids that can't afford it and give them an opportunity to play. And we're very excited to see that. And if anyone knows who the coach is, he'll teach principles, biblical principles for the kids to learn on the court, but stuff that they will use off the court for life as well, which is very exciting. So if you're interested in supporting that, you can check out either the sportsreverends.com or churchinthecity.ca, and you can look for Urban Hope there, and there's ways to give that way. So thank you very much.
Why don't you roll us into topic number 2 here, Dan?
Number 2. So I'm already interested. We haven't had a chance to really talk as a group about Darvin Hamlin and
Damar.
oh, sorry. Yeah, Damar Hamlin, Joel. He put it down wrong in the comments. I still should have known because I've said his name 17,000 times over the last week. But Damar Hamlin had, if you haven't heard, if you've been living under a rock, had a pretty traumatic moment on field where he collapsed. And basically, they had one of the medical assistants on the field was giving him CPR, so he's almost basically had no heartbeat. They were able to bring him to hospital, and he was able to breathe with assistance. Currently, which is kind of great news, is basically he is now released from the hospital. He was able to attend a team meeting via, I think, Teams. And he's got a little bit of function back as well. So he's obviously on the road to recovery. We don't know how far that's going to go, but what was crazy was basically he was expected not to either wake up, be able to breathe on his own, and or have very good brain function, which he's able to have it seems to be that he has full brain function in terms of speaking and remembering and all that stuff. So. I'll pass it on to you guys to give your thoughts on the situation, maybe the reactions of kind of the world and the thoughts about it all, and then I'll share some of mine.
I can go first. I mean, I don't have a ton to say on this. Obviously, very scary. I saw another clip where a university kid collapsed playing basketball. So I think as an athlete, that's pretty shocking. You understand, sprains and twists and stuff, but somebody collapsing is quite traumatic. Um, it was and has been interesting to see the outpouring of hope, I think, and well wishes. Obviously, there's has been some people who tried to tie it to COVID and vaccinations at one point, which I think was really stupid. But seeing, I think he has a charity as well that was supposed to donate toys, and like it was a GoFundMe for donating toys in his neighborhood, and that like blew up like a couple $1 million as people gave. So great to see that he is doing well on the road to recovery. Even better to see some positives come out of this traumatic event, and God being mentioned in a positive way in mainstream media.
Drew, why
My
don't you go
next,
ahead? Yeah, why don't you go ahead?
like, obviously, this was a terrible thing that happened. Like, a 24-year-old having cardiac arrest. It had nothing to do with football. It's like it's a play you see all the time. And yeah, we're not supposed to ask any questions about any like what. Yeah. Anyways, Joel
But
called
hey,
it.
this is the
Joel called it
sports.
stupid, so I'm not allowed to do it.
No, this is
But
the Sports Reverends
like
podcast. You speak your mind.
no, no. What I like it's a 24-year-old having cardiac arrest, a
Mm-hmm.
peak athlete, and we're not supposed to ask how is a 24-year-old having a heart attack? But anyways,
Right. I mean,
you can look into it however you want, but this is happening all over the world. You can stick your head in the sand and say it's not, but it is, and people call you crazy or that you're wearing a tinfoil hat. It is happening. These peak athletes under 30 who aren't supposed to be having this happen, right? It's happening, and people are like, "Oh, this always happened." No, I think the reaction is of us being pray for Damar is that this isn't normal. This isn't happening all the time.
let me just clarify one thing. Whether it's COVID or not, I don't know, right? And there's obviously research that has to go into it. What I meant by my statement was meant to be people focusing more on the COVID or why instead of this person's life.
No, obviously, like
That
I
that's what I was going with. I mean, I there's whole yeah, I agree with you on that part on the COVID piece, but it's the focus shouldn't have been, oh, let's just start looking into, anti-vax, blah blah blah. It's more about this guy might possibly die,
right.
right?
And no, I totally agree. And I think it's it's unfair if people when we make it that argument, it makes both sides sort of sound like we don't care about his life because we have to come in and sort of
Yeah.
bring some sense to it, right? I think Jason Whitlock was talking about that. Like it's unfair because we feel like jerks coming in and being like, "Oh, can we ask a question?" Like,
Right.
"Oh," and then we're like, "Oh, you don't care about his life." No, yeah, obviously that's first priority. We want him to get, but there's also the other side trying to attack football, like, "Oh, we shouldn't be playing football." This had nothing to do with violence in football. There's a million hits that happen way worse than what happened here. But I think people are using this as a platform for all sorts of things that like just I don't know, like it doesn't seem right. Like no one's even heard of the Peyton Hillis story, right? Like
Yeah.
Peyton Hillis, star running back, saves his kids from drowning and he's on life support and no one's even talking about it. A true heroic act fighting for his life. Why aren't we talking about him? I don't know. Like Damar Hamlin, no one's even heard of his name before this week.
Mm-hmm.
If this had happened in a non-Monday night, I'm not saying we shouldn't be praying for him to get better, but if this
Yeah.
happened on a non-Monday night game that got canceled after, like what, like I don't know.
What would the outrage actually be?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, those are great thoughts, guys, and I think both. I think both at the end of it, you guys are actually agreeing, and
Yeah.
I think for the most part, I agree with you guys as well. And what I took from it is that there's been so much polarizing conversations that have happened over this last like 3 years, right? And to me, there was some people talking about. I didn't even hear actually much about people talking that much about saying it's a vaccination problem. Actually heard more people saying from some of the mainstream media saying, "Oh, Republicans don't care about this guy because he's," and they're fully saying that on CNN. I'm like, where did you get that turn to? Now, where I land is that for me, at least for the most part, I think most people are coming together and actually putting their own thoughts and stuff away and selfishness away and actually saying, hey, I'm gonna actually throw love and support to this guy. And to see actually some of the pictures of all the teams coming together, like every staff member and every player, and at the beginning of a game, and then listening to the chaplain as he shares an encouraging word and praise for the game. I thought that was really cool. I'm not even a fan of Dan Orlovsky, but he actually paused in the middle of an ESPN broadcast instead of just saying thoughts and prayers. He's like, I'm actually going to pray. And he prayed like he's prayed before. So it was really cool to see that. And
Can't mention Jesus though.
yeah, exactly. You get slapped in the hand if no, you get canceled if you mention Jesus. And But for even him to pausing in the middle and actually praying is him stepping out of line there for ESPN, which I thought was very bold of him. Um,
It's
whatever
amazing
this,
how it's amazing how no one's an atheist when a tragedy strikes, right?
yeah,
Like
exactly.
like there's no one that isn't saying thoughts and prayers. It's
Yeah.
like there's people that I know have claimed to be atheists, don't believe in God, saying those things, tweeting those things. It's like I don't know.
Yeah,
It seems a little disingenuous. Again, I'm not saying don't pray for Damar. I'm just saying, can we like not wait for tragedy to strike to actually have a conversation about?
and what I'm hoping is that from all this, from this, maybe people will actually see, maybe with his recovery and things like that, maybe they actually see that, it's actually, maybe this could be the power of prayer actually working. And maybe they start having some questions and having a conversation. It just seemed to me that there was something that at least shifted in our culture that at least brought people together, which I think we've been begging for because there's just been such a divide. And I think overall there's still going to be a divide because when it comes down to it, when it comes down to the real conversations of talking about Jesus and talking about relationship and all that stuff, there still will be a great divide. But I think there's at least some people that will have a conversation. And that's what I'm hopeful and I felt moved from some of that stuff that happened. So obviously, it goes without question. We all want Damar Hamlin to recover and be well and be good. I believe he's a believer himself. Is what I saw some of the articles, and his family is churchgoers as well. So that's the best to hope for. I agree with you guys that there's still lots of people that are gonna try to turn this into something ugly, but I'm trying to take the positive out of it. So
I think one thing to take away, one thought to take away is um, how we have these conversations. A lot of times, it's back and forth yelling, you know, and you see a lot of people just don't want to broach subjects like this. You know, I know that if I have a differing opinion from either one of you guys, I can share it. We can talk about it, and as long as it's not like, I enjoy murder or something like those lines. Like, if it's just a disagreement, we can have a conversation like adults and still be friends. Even if we come to consensus that, we're going to agree to disagree, something along those lines. You really can't, for the most part, people are willing to have conversations because they don't know all the facts. I don't know everything, you don't know everything. But there's just a small group of people who are very vocal about it and makes it difficult to have conversations, right? It makes it difficult to discuss something in a positive and meaningful way instead of just, you're an idiot, you're dumb, your point of view is stupid, I'm going to blame you, you're racist. Like, people love to pull the race card right away, right?
and the
Sorry,
fact
not.
and the fact that we have all even agreed that even just having a conversation about, okay, why is it so weird that all these peak athletes are just dropping, like you mentioned another one in the college game literally
Yeah.
this weekend. um, we're going to be labeled conspiracy theorists, right? And that's where we have the issue, right? There's no proper discourse.
As a former peak athlete myself, I'm afraid of passing out from working out, so that's why I've kind of avoided it the last couple of years. So, um, that's how I roll on that. But no, and agreed. I think without the ability to have an open discourse, open discussion, you can't have a meaningful conversation with anything or with anyone about anything, whether it's vaccinations, whether it's death penalty, whether it's faith in Christ, right? And I think as Christians, if we go in the route of picketing and screaming at people, you're just gonna get that back. You're not gonna be able to minister to anybody.
Well,
Right?
and it's a lose-lose situation, right?
Yeah.
Because when are you in the position to ask those questions? It's usually after something terrible has happened, and no one wants to hear a question of, well, was it something that they right? Like that's insensitive to ask. but then when are you supposed to ask those questions? Like,
Yeah.
so it becomes a, you have to have a group like this where you know that we can walk away friends no matter what but that's not how the world works. The
No.
world wants to light you on fire. If you like what they're doing to Skip Bayless. Like, I have no love for Skip Bayless, right? But what he tweeted out was not bad. If you actually read the whole tweet, he
Whoa, whoa,
ends,
whoa, whoa! I can't read more than 100 characters. Can't.
right?
Sorry.
If you actually read to the end of the tweet, he actually says all this stuff I've just said seems so insignificant,
Yeah.
right? Like the whole tweet was saying, yeah, this is bigger than the game, and people are wanting him fired. His own people at the Fox network like Michael Strahan's calling him out live on air. And well, yeah, I don't love, like, all those guys are so phony anyways, but yeah, it sucks because you can't have honest conversation. Everyone, it's it's a big thing to keep everyone quiet. Keep your opinions to yourself. No one wants to hear them. If you bring them up and they oppose the view or someone gets offended, like, you're not allowed to talk, and it's tough, and you need open lines of communication because eventually, like, we're all going to be thinking what the world, sports media, news media wants us to think because we're not allowed to come up against it, right?
And that's why I think there is a shift in culture happening. We look at even Disney. Disney was previously being guided by a very leftist, very pro LGBT person who really pushed that in their the programming, right? So now that they've seen that it's affected their their wallet, right? They've now gone back to the old guy, and they said they're going to be more, what do you call it? Toe the line of both sides, and basically go back to their roots. I don't think they're going to be outright by biblical principles, teaching, and all that stuff. But I think they're going to go back to, less pushing their agenda to being more open, which I hope is what we'll see going forward. We're going to see a little bit more of that, where it's a little bit more even in the media.
Well, at the end of the day, let's be completely honest. Money talks, right? You look at states in the U.S. that are trying to be more green. Taxes have gone through the roof. People can't afford to live there anymore. Right? You bring up Disney movies like Buzz Lightyear. I don't think it did that great.
No, it lost money. Yeah.
Right? In Saudi Arabia, that they changed movies. Right? Like there's a lot of virtue speak going on there, but because there's no truth, it's not going to last. So I think you're right. I think there's always been this craving for truth, right? There's craving for truth out there, but people are afraid to ask the questions. So I think, personally, I know I can do a better job of, practicing and walking my faith out in public. It's not always, and to those out there, it's not always easy, but you have to make a concerted effort. And I'll share this. I know I shared it to you, Dan, and you shared it on Sunday. I have a coworker who had an unexpected pregnancy, and she was waffling between wanting to keep the baby, wanting not to keep the baby. And obviously, life is important, and I ended up praying about it. And 10:30 at night, I just sent her the link to Crisis Pregnancy Center. I know she's got a bit of a Christian background. She knows I'm a Christian, and I was just supporting her and just trying to say, hey, whether you keep the baby, don't keep the baby, I'm going to support you regardless. But prayed about it, sent the link, and next day she sends me this text that she's decided to keep the baby, and she wants to reignite her walk with God. And something, and it's not me, it's all God, right? And something as simple as sending a link to somebody, and I don't even know if she opened it or not, but just even the act of doing that and having the faith to do that, I mean, saved a life. And you don't have to go out there on a street corner and raise a banner and preach from a milk carton. It's about building those relationships with people in your vicinity, in your community, and being open and honest and saying, I don't have all the answers, and being truthful. That genuineness, yeah, that's the word. Genuineness will get you a lot further than just not protesting, but pretending to be somebody you're not.
I love it. I love it, boys. That was great. I was excited to see what you guys had to say about Damar Hamlin, and yeah, I hope that we can be hopeful, and we're probably still on the more skeptical end of things, but of 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 open discourse in our favor. There's lots of open discourse for other people, but that's how it goes. So, Coach, what's run us through what's going to happen for podcasts kind of going forward?
Yeah, make sure you guys like, subscribe, all Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We're on Spotify and Apple Music. We are committed to coming at you every Wednesday. And it may not be a live version, but it'll be something recorded, but we'll pop it out every Wednesday. Throw us your questions, throw us your hot takes. We'd love to uh, take a run at those, and fan interaction is always good. We appreciate all the support over the last couple of years as we've figured this thing out, and I think our new take on talking about topics that are relevant to our faith and our life is gonna grow this year and be something that we can use to help share the gospel and in a fun and effective way, because sports is awesome and God is awesome and these guys are okay, but let's have some fun doing this.
I also like to take a moment right now and thank me.
All right.
I am this year's 2022-2023 fantasy football champion. Can I get a yeah? All right, that's for me. Thanks to Joel and Drew for really representing the Sports Reverends well. They competed in the Toilet Bowl, didn't make the playoffs and didn't lose. Drew is now a 2-year Toilet Bowl, not champion, but 2-year Toilet Bowl in the Toilet Bowl section. So you guys, way to go, way to keep it up. But the Sports Reverends are still champions overall. All right, 2 years in a row.
Brown for one, yo.
Yeah, there we go. Maybe White Sports Rev will pick up his game next year. We'll see how things go. He's
So
shaking his head
sour.
already.
So sour.
There will be next week. We will have an unveiling of a trophy. Yes, for myself, and
that's where the league fees went up. I see.
It will be fantastic.
I got the most points in the whole league week 1, and then went on to lose, I think, every single week after that.
I think you won one more. I think you got 2 wins. And you didn't lose in the Toilet Bowl. Someone else did.
I know my team performs best. I had a bunch of leagues where my team was just so good at the end of the season after I was already eliminated.
I'm like your high school basketball team.
Oh,
shots.
Chalk that up to Hayden's ankle again.
Yeah. Shout out to Hayden and Andrew for still not paying their league fees. Still waiting on those. And we're excited for 2023-2024 season.
Absolutely. This is fun.
This is good to see y'all. Good to be back. And we out. Peace out, world.
Peace.